We've all been here before when we just want to request a few days off from work. But what happens when your boss thinks that you're actually quitting instead of just taking time off? We'll get into that story in just a bit. But first, today I freaked up for feeding my children first, even if I'm hungry. I always feed my kids first, no matter how starving I am. Doesn't matter if I've been running around all day, skipping meals, dealing with a teething baby and a toddler meltdown. I'll stand there and make sure their plates are full before I even think about mine. But yesterday pushed me over the edge. I made dinner, gave them their food, and sat down to eat after they were already halfway done. Within 5 minutes, they were fighting over who got the bigger piece of chicken and somehow spilled juice all over my plate. Just fully soaked it. Like I blinked and it was a mess. I got up to clean it, came back, and my oldest was literally eating off my plate because you weren't eating it anyway. I just sat there in silence. I was so hungry I could have cried, but I ended up making toast and eating it cold while standing at the sink. It hit me then how often I put myself last and how used to it I've gotten. I know I'm the adult, and yeah, they come first most days, but dang, I broke a little last night over that soggy butt dinner. So to any young, aspiring parents out there, this is basically what being a parent is like. This and a lot of poopy diapers. It ain't all it's cracked up to be. Just kidding, it's amazing. South Park said, "Children learn by following examples. You're unfortunately setting an example where they're the most important people at the table and they're entitled to eating your dinner. For their sake, you need to set some expectations and rules or they're going to end up with the wrong ideas. You don't have to neglect them to take care of yourself. It's not an either-or situation. You can set the expectation that everyone eats together and everyone eats their own food. Even if it's not perfect, repetition and consistency are key." Savings Dingo 6250 responded, "Your kids need some boundaries and can learn some empathy by you talking to them honestly about how you felt that night. Tell them how hungry you were, how you always make sure they're fed. You need to let them know it's a lot of work to be a good parent. That's how they can start to see you, become more helpful, and more grateful for what you do." Also, hey everybody, my name is Brendan, and if you guys enjoy these Today I Freaked Up videos, it would be so nice and awesome if you liked the video and commented down below if you're listening to our podcast. Now then, our next story is, today I freaked out by buying myself a fancy jacket and instantly starting a rumor at work. After a really rough few years financially, I finally caught a bit of a break from a $3,700 win on Rolling Riches sweepstakes casino. Not life-changing money, but enough to give me breathing room for the first time in forever. I cleared out some lingering credit card debt, replaced my dying phone, and let myself splurge just once. I bought a leather jacket I've wanted for years. Total impulse buy, but I figured, hey, I've been responsible, why not? I wore it to work the next day. Didn't say anything, just walked in like normal, feeling a little better than usual. Big mistake. One of my coworkers goes, "Dang, new money?" And everyone laughs, but I think nothing of it. Then another coworker jokes about me striking it rich. Later that day, someone asks if I've got a new side hustle or secret inheritance. It starts spreading, jokingly at first, that I must have come into some serious cash. By the end of the week, someone asked if I was doing crypto or if I sold a kidney. I tried to play it down and, just treated myself after getting ahead a little. But now I've got people whispering about promotions I didn't get, speculating that I must be making way more than them, or worse, hiding something shady. I even had a manager pull me aside and say that I seem to be enjoying a lifestyle shift, and that it's important to keep appearances consistent. I never thought one jacket would lead to this. Today, I freaked out by underestimating how people can react when you stop looking broke at work. This must have been quite the upgrade from how you were dressing before, because I've gotten new leather jackets before. I mean, not for top dollar or anything, but no one's ever commented on how I look all of a sudden so much richer, so my goodness. Your coworkers be judging. Sandpit Metal replied, "I have this leather jacket that I've had for years. I bought it from a thrift store for $8 back in like 2011 or 2012. I still get compliments on it every year, and people get so excited when I tell them where it came from, and that I started using it as my go-to response for whenever I get something nice for myself. I don't want people to think I'm more well off than I really am." Master Honey 549 replied, I had a coworker become my thrifting comrade, and we'd travel to towns, sometimes hours away, just to spend a day in different parts of the country trying to find cool crap. I was waiting on her transaction to wrap up, and a red coat caught my eye. It was a late 80s, early 90s Carhartt jacket in well-worn condition, but not terribly so. It was $8, so I snatched it right away. I got back in line and she gave me a puzzled look until she saw it and was instantly jealous. It's on its last legs right now, but it's by far the single most complimented article of clothing I've ever owned. Our next story is, today I freaked out by buying a beanbag chair for my wife. Today, my 4-month-old pregnant wife told me she wanted a beanbag chair so she could have somewhere to sit in my office, especially when our child is born in October. There was one that her best friend has that she really liked and wanted to get the same one, but it was a little more expensive than usual. No problem, but I should have known since it was her better-off friend that likes to be a bit bougie sometimes. It was a $350 one off Pottery Barn. We live paycheck to paycheck, so this was a bit steep for us, especially with a baby on the way. I told her we could do it if we call this her birthday, Christmas, and anniversary gift, and I won't really get her anything else for those days. My freak up? Her response was that we could also consider this her push gift, but in return, she would still like me to do something else on those days. My dumb butt said, "You're what?" with the gusto of someone who had just been cut in line. She proceeded to tell me that it was now becoming a thing to buy a push gift for the partner giving birth to the baby. Since I'm a well-trained horse, I held back my immediate and somewhat rude reaction of chuckling at the idea, and instead sarcastically responded with something that would make you completely doubt my training. So, me taking care of you hand and foot for the couple weeks after birth while you're essentially bedridden aren't enough for you? I have to buy you a gift on top of all that? Cue one enraged wife at the beginning of her second trimester. I eventually calmed her down, but she's still obviously ticked because of this. Could I have handled it better? Sure. But I thought she was joking about what a push gift was. I had already moved heaven and earth so that I could actually take 4 weeks paid leave after the birth. U.S. company with less than 50 people, so I'm not guaranteed even unpaid parental leave. I wasn't expecting her to actually be serious about wanting a gift from me for something she wanted to do in the first place. Edit. Her family is providing a lot of hand-me-downs since she has several older cousins who are done with having kids. The baby stuff isn't a huge concern for us financially. Mostly just the medical bills need to be addressed. Ooh, man, you really put your foot in your mouth on this one. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to walk it back at this point. Get the beanbag chair, and maybe negotiate that being the push gift, and then, you're just going to have to improvise, when birthday and anniversary roll around, come up with some some light on the wallet alternatives, and you'll be okay. A party in my pants replied, "Return the beanbag chair. Get a glider chair. You can get one from Target for like $150. You'll get way more use out of it after the baby is born, as it's very comfortable to get up out of the chair after rocking a baby to sleep. Imagine trying to get up out of a stupid beanbag chair with a baby in your arms. Ain't happening." And Quim de la Quim replied, "Yep. It's hard enough standing up from a beanbag chair as an able-bodied person, and hard enough standing from a normal chair while pregnant. If she has a C-section, that beanbag chair will be up for sale right quick. Also, now is not the time to buy expensive furniture. That $350 item will be destroyed by bodily fluids in no time." Our next story is, today I freaked out by not answering my insurance, resulting in me possibly having to pay 10,000 euros. Like the title says, I freaked up, big time. I, 19-year-old male, am currently attending school to try and get my diploma. I did a long-term internship before that, so my insurance is basically covered by my employer. However, after I left and went back to school, they tried to contact me over their app because they wanted additional information about my current employment and income. I receive maintenance from my mother, which is about 450 euros per month, from which 200 go to my father and stepmother for stuff like clothes and other necessities, and the rest I can keep for myself. I had to declare that income to my insurance, which I did by sending the necessary bank statements to them, which were the only thing I had. However, they kept asking me to confirm that income so they can adjust the price for my insurance. That song and dance repeated over and over again, with them claiming I had sent the wrong information. Repeat the process over the next few months. Eventually, it slipped my mind to answer them, and oh boy, they did not like that. At Easter, I get a mail telling me I owe them almost 10,000 euros. They said that due to failing to provide the necessary documents of my income, they gave me the highest price of around 1,000 euros per month I had to pay. Since this all started in August, I also apparently owe them back pay for the time that passed. Me and my family are currently in the process of fighting that amount and getting it lowered to something my income can support. They said if I get family insurance with my father, who's also insured with the same company, it could be adjusted to a price that would be affordable for me, so fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cross my fingers as well. This is a bit of a mess. Doesn't sound like it's something that can't be rectified, but yeah, that's got to be scary knowing that you're in like 10 times over your financial ceilings head in back payments and stuff. So that sucks, but hope you get that worked out. Our next story is, today I freaked out by looking through old medical records. Well, I just got connected to an online platform to look at my medical records from a hospital I used to visit. One thing in particular caught my interest: diagnostic imaging of my chest and ribs. Now, I remember this visit significantly. It was 1 a.m. on a random weekday. I had to leave work early because of the pain, and I went straight to the hospital. I remember sitting in the waiting room before being brought back to a private examination bay room. I remember a doctor came in, touched at my ribs, and then said, "It's probably just some inflammation. Go grab some painkillers and anti-inflammatories from the drugstore and you'll be fine." I've never been a great advocate for my own health, so I remember being a bit defeated. I was in severe pain that had gotten worse over a few months and simply sent back home with no idea what was wrong. Fast forward to today, where I see 2 x-rays they apparently took during this visit. The x-rays look normal. I don't remember this at all, like at all. To me, there isn't even a gap in my memory. I don't know where these x-rays go in my mental timeline for this visit. There's no space. To me, it didn't happen. My anxiety is telling me they aren't my x-rays, but that's so unlikely. So I just have to accept that I completely shut this out from my mind. I guess because I wasn't happy that the results were nothing. It's been 5 years, and I still experience this rib pain. I'm sure I'll figure out what's wrong eventually, but I'm really shell-shocked learning that I got an x-ray done. I feel like I can't trust myself or my memory. I feel like I can't trust the medical field. So yeah, it might not seem like a freak up, but to me, I opened a reality I can't begin to comprehend. I feel like I'm overreacting, but it's scary missing chunks of memory. I don't remember any of my childhood aside from repressed memories that I wish I didn't remember. There's memories I don't even know I lost. I'm just confused, scared, and unsure. I've always known my memory was crap, but this lack of recollection adds to my anxiety. Well, even though you don't trust the medical field, I think that this is definitely something that needs to be assessed, addressed, and, you need some answers because memory loss, that's nothing uncommon, but to remember nothing about your childhood and stuff like that, I don't think it would be fair to call that common or normal. So even though it might not help you regain these memories, at least you'll have an answer as to why this is happening. And I think that will alleviate a lot of personal stress that you're going through. Hockey Chick 44 replied, "OP, we forget mundane things. You were tired. It was a random weekday, and medical stuff is annoying to do. It's normal to forget facts like this. Your memory isn't going because you don't recall an x-ray from half a decade ago. It's important when we have big, hot thoughts like this to work through them. My therapist taught me this technique. Identify the hot thought. In this case, I can't trust my memory or myself or the medical field because I forgot about this x-ray. Evaluate the evidence that suggests this is true. I can be forgetful sometimes. Sometimes medical procedures are misguided and rushed. Evaluate evidence to the contrary. If you asked me what I ate for lunch last month when I went out with my coworkers, I'd probably not know offhand. The x-ray results were normal, so they didn't contribute to further care or diagnosis. It was half a decade ago, and so many things have happened since then. Revisit. Do I need to get upset by this? Am I upset because I'm in pain, because I feel out of control, or some other third thing? After you do this exercise, do something that typically calms you. A walk, a glass of water, lay down, whatever. I also recommend reflecting on the good part of this situation. You learn that you have records that you can use the next time you go back to the doctor. The paperwork can do the heavy lifting on maintaining information because you have memory issues. I have ADHD and I rely a lot on notes, calendars, etc., written things to maintain records so I don't feel the need to keep everything in my head. Most of all, you see that they did do some diagnostics to help you. and didn't only slap you on the butt with some ibuprofen and told you to get lost. And Tactic Prime replied, "Exactly this. I also want to add that you're the person who has to advocate for your health. No one knows your body better than you do, and you're not being mean or rude by putting the heat on them to do their job and diagnose you. If they can't or won't, or something doesn't seem right, you find a second opinion. If you don't put yourself first, then you're putting yourself last and at a disadvantage. I also understand anxiety is a bench and a half, and if you haven't already, I'd strongly recommend starting a course of treatment for it. Not medical advice, just saying this person to person, like therapy and meds. It will help you a lot once you figure out what meds work for you and what therapist you fit with best." Our next story is, today I freaked up when I didn't just hang up the overhead pager. I'm a new, been here almost a month, pet groomer at a corporate store where we also offer walk-in services, like nail trimmings and grindings. I get them pretty often, and as I'm talking with the dog owner about what she wants, I end with my usual, "Please don't leave the store, it won't even take that long, and I'll just page you to come get your puppy." Dog was really sweet and let me get through it all without much of a fuss, so all in all, not even 15 minutes. I take the dog out with me to the counter to start paging for the owner. At previous jobs, the store overhead pager was a live call, as in I dial the number and hear myself talk through the sound system. Here, it's a recording that ends when you hang up. As I start my, "Will dog owner please come back to the salon?" I see the owner turn the corner, already making her way back. Here's where I freak up. I don't know how to end the recording without sending it to the store speakers. I head back into the salon to ask my manager. She tells me that there's got to be a way, but she doesn't know it, so ask a store manager. I give the dog back to the owner, and while dog owner is putting the harness on, I get one of two store assistants, not the actual manager, back to the counter. I tell her the situation and that yes, it's still recording. She fiddles with the phone system, and I beg her not to end the call while I'm trying to finish the transaction with the dog owner. After a couple more seconds, she looks at me and I give her the solemn nod. Do it. It must have a limited amount of time to record because it skips the first part of me asking for the dog owner to come back and immediately jumps to my call to assistant manager. Bing bong! I messed up and I need help back at the salon. I don't know how to end the pager without sending it to the overhead, please. I'm crying, giving the dog owner the receipt, and she bows out fast. Immediately, I'm on the floor laughing and crying as the salon erupts into cackles, and the store assistant is holding her stomach doubled over with laughter over the sound of my voice and the assistant managers trying to end the pager early. The actual store manager charges back, and we try to tell her what happened, and she goes to stop it. There's moments of silence in the recording, where I can then hear some of the other employees asking if it's over yet, right before my voice continues on, just begging for help with turning off the recording, and all the laughter continues. Then the realization hits everyone back in the salon at once. The pager repeats. Store manager redoubles her efforts to end the whole recording before that happens, but her efforts weren't enough. Bing bong! The recording starts over from the beginning. By this time, the tears have dried, and laughing has died down to giggles as the other store assistant walks back with text from another store with things to try. The store manager gets the pager to be on hold. Not sure how, and there's a reprieve from my voice begging for help. The store manager walks away, thinking this is it, we've solved it, and the elevator-esque music will end our suffering. Until the hold music ends, and for some reason, the pager repeats again, 3 times. 3 times do the innocent shoppers have to hear me say, "Well, I don't want to send it to the whole store, I just need help stopping it." Store manager is back, along with the other assistant who brought the tips, and together they end its and my suffering with a second of back-to-back pager notifications like it reset itself. Thankfully, it was near the end of the day, so I could hang out back with the dog kennels to recover before heading home. And hey, now I know better. Just end the pager as soon as I can. In situations like this, you can't help but laugh, especially when nobody knows the answer. Like, what are you going to do? There are so many worse things that could happen. This is a funny story. I like it. Our next story is, today I freaked up by making my friends think I crashed out because of Keisane Tedo. Yesterday, I spent most of my morning looking at animations on TikTok in hopes of getting out of my art block. and I suddenly remembered an animation I'd seen a few months ago with a song and one of my favorite characters, Keisein Teto from UTA Uloid. For people who don't know what UTAU or Vocaloid is, it's basically just a bunch of voice banks with different voices and styles which all have character designs, etc. I remember the animation vividly, but I didn't remember the username of the creator nor the name of the song in the video. However, I did remember some of the lyrics in the animation, which go along the lines of, "I'm sorry, please forgive me for being a useless adult," and "I feel so miserable," etc. I just searched up the lyrics I knew, and when I didn't find anything, I added Keisein Teto at the end of the lyrics. After scrolling through a ton of Vocaloid vent posts, I eventually found the original song and also the animation, so I was happy about that. The song's name is Hymn to the Decadent Life by Rotunoki for those who are interested. Later that day, my friends added me to a VC and we were just goofing around. And I said that I wanted to show my friends a funny TikTok I saw just a few hours before by sharing my screen through call. But as I clicked on the search bar on TikTok, I heard some of my friends gasp, and they suddenly all got worried about me as they asked me if I was okay and needed someone to talk to. I was really confused at that moment, and when I asked what they were talking about, they pointed out my search history, obviously still filled with those lyrics I mentioned earlier. I didn't really get a chance to explain myself as they were all asking about what happened to me. They didn't really believe me when I told them I was fine and it was just a specific video I was looking for, especially since none of them are into UTL-Uloid or Vocaloid at all and have no clue who Keisein Tato is. They just assume she's some angsty character chronically online teenagers made cringy edits with, like K Angel or Madoka. I even tried to prove myself by looking up the same lyrics again, but when my feed filled itself with vent videos with Vocaloid characters in the background, I knew I couldn't get out of this anymore. Now they won't stop sending me the contact details of therapists in the area. As much as I appreciate their concern, I still can't decide whether I should laugh at the absurdity of this whole situation or never show my face to them again because now they think some angst videos of an anime girl made me crash out. Honestly, just deleting my search history or sending the link of the TikTok to our group chat would have avoided this whole ordeal, but of course I couldn't think of it in that moment. Yeah, okay, so I honestly have no idea what OP is talking about here, but I kind of get the gist of it. So I would say just find the video or the song that you were referencing when you were typing in the lyrics that led to the search results that are concerning your friends and send that song to them just so that they can hear it and be like, yeah, like I was telling the truth. These are literally the lyrics. I don't know, that's all I got. Sorry, I don't know who Teto is or whatever. Our next story is, today I freaked up by not paying attention to my surroundings. This actually happened yesterday, but I'm still feeling it. More embarrassing than damaging, but it's still physically painful and costs a pretty penny as well. I work in a light store as a cleaner. They sell light fixtures and a few mirrors, maybe a few other things as well. The entire store has lights hanging from the ceiling. Most are high enough up they don't bother me as long as I pay attention to the mop and broomstick while cleaning. They have a few that hang low though. For context, I'm 5'7", so yesterday I was cleaning as usual and noticed while pulling trash that they had a new chandelier in one corner of the section I was meant to clean that day. Not a big deal, as they're always changing things up. As I swept, I realized that this new chandelier was at head height for me, just low enough for me to walk into it if I didn't pay attention. I also realized that the way it's made, I could duck under the outer rim and stand up straight inside of it to clean the corner of the floor. I did this and carefully ducked back under to continue sweeping the rest of the area. Annoying to have to do, but also not a big deal. Then I started mopping. I get in kind of a zone while mopping and tune out my surroundings because it's always the same thing every day, and mopping doesn't require any thinking, really. So I was just mopping along and had to duck under this new chandelier to mop the corner. I wasn't paying attention to the rest of the store and didn't realize there were customers in the area I was mopping. I don't worry about customers in general, as I have wet signs up and the floor dries super quickly, and isn't really slick when wet due to the type of floor and how much I wring my mop out. Anyway, these particular customers had a little boy with them, maybe 4 or 5, that they weren't really watching. He came up right behind me, and as I was backing up, mopping out the corner, I bumped into him. This startled me and caused me to raise up before fully getting out from under the chandelier, but far enough out that I was no longer in the middle safe zone, and I slammed my head into the solid metal bottom of it. This knocked off my glasses, prescription, but I can kind of see without them, which the boy then stepped on. I had an extra pair of glasses at home in case of emergency, but not with me, so I had to stop and clean up my broken glasses before finishing mopping. I also had a very sore spot on my head where I hit it. I finished my shift and got ready to leave. This is when I realized an issue. While I can mostly see close up without my glasses, I can't see far off. Because of this and my inability to properly judge distances without them, I have to have them to drive. I have two pair because of this. Unfortunately, one pair had just gotten broke and the other was at home. I had to drive myself home as my mom was at work and couldn't leave to come get me, and I didn't have any money for a cab. I don't know anyone else in the area who I could call for a ride. Not the first time I had to drive without my glasses, but it's way more traffic than I've ever done it in before, and I know it's not the best idea. Plus, if I get stopped, it's a major deal since it says on my license I have to have my glasses, and if I wreck while I'm not wearing them, it would automatically be my fault because of that. I didn't have any other options though, and drove home as carefully as I could. I made it back safely and parked in the parking lot for my apartment. These parking spaces have a metal bar across the front of them, level with the front bumper of most cars, to keep you from pulling up too far. I pulled in and couldn't tell if it was far enough or not, so I hit the gas to pull up a little more. I was very stressed by this point and hit it a bit too hard and pulled forward too much. I hit the bar. Not horribly hard, but enough to do damage to my bumper. Today, I had to go get a new pair of glasses, which was a pain since I currently don't have any kind of insurance and very little money. I also got my car looked at to make sure I didn't do any major damage. Thankfully, my car just has cosmetic damage, which I'm not really worried about, but found out it'll cost about $2,000 to fix, so not happening anytime soon, especially after having just spent $800 on an eye exam and new glasses. I also have a huge bruise on my head, which is still painful. I mean, this sucks, definitely a tough situation, but please, if this happens again, don't drive visually impaired. You're putting yourself and other people on the road at risk, so just be responsible next time, please. Writer Howell commented, "Not entirely your fault. I'd argue that the child shouldn't have run up behind you while you were doing your job, and the parents should have been parenting him. You could have accidentally whacked him with your mop while startled, and then there'd be heck to pay. You literally got injured because he startled you. What if someone, like you, had slipped on the wet floor because of his actions? I bet the customers would still come first, not you, and your injuries would be quite severe, with all that breakable stuff around you." Our next story is, "Today I freaked up by asking for time off, but making my boss think I was quitting. For the first time in a long while, I've been doing okay financially, especially with a decent win on Jackpot City Casino. Nothing massive happened, but I finally caught up on a few things. Bills, rent, groceries, without budgeting down to the cent, and I had enough saved to justify taking a proper break. So I decided to use a chunk of my unused PTO and plan a few days off just to decompress and maybe take a quick solo trip out of state. I put in the request with a 2-week notice, not thinking it would be a big deal. I've barely taken any time off this year, and I worded it casually in my email. Hey, things are finally stable enough for me to take a few days, hoping to recharge a bit and come back fresh. I didn't think twice about it. Next morning, I get called into my manager's office. She has this tight smile and goes, "We got your email. Is there something we should know?" I was confused until she clarified. She thought I was hinting that I was quitting. Apparently, my email read like a soft resignation. Finally stable, taking time for yourself, coming back fresh, like I was prepping to bounce after a big signing bonus or something. It got worse. Word spread to the department leads, and by the time I had lunch, I had coworkers asking if I was moving on to bigger things. Someone even said, "Saw this coming, you've been glowing lately." I had to go around and clarify that no, I wasn't quitting, I wasn't interviewing elsewhere, I wasn't some secret startup founder. I just, for once, had a little extra in the bank and wanted to enjoy a break without the weight of guilt or debt. It's wild how just asking for time off can snowball into rumors if you word it slightly wrong. Today, I freaked up trying to sound chill and grateful in a PTO email and accidentally triggering a chain of events that made half my office think I was peacing out. Well, it's 2025, and everything is going to be over scrutinized, over analyzed, and overreacted to. That's just the world that we live in. So, is what it is, but you clarified. PCAP Data responded, did you email anyone other than your boss? The fact that everyone and their mom seem to know about and have an opinion on your time off is a little bit concerning. Usually, managers are told to refrain from gossiping for exactly this reason, but perhaps she did anyway? All right, everybody, that's all the time we got for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. And if you want to check out any of our other videos, click the video on the right. That all said, I will see you next time.